Welcome to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. Each week on this program, Jeff and his guests share their expertise, personal anecdotes, and the latest industry news to keep you in the loop. Now, to provide you with insight and help you navigate the consistently changing world of real estate lending, here is your host for The Mortgage Voice, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929, our telephone number. Pick up the phone, give us a call. We're here each and every week to help you answer questions about what's happening in the mortgage market. And what is happening in the mortgage market? Well, it is not depressing. It is not uplifting. It's kind of flat. And so as we have winded our way or however that word is said, from where it was in January to today, we've seen rates go up, we've seen rates go down, and where are we right now? Pretty much where we were in January. So if you're looking at buying a house, the rates are still pretty good. 4.25% 30-year fixed rate is kind of where we are right now. There are certainly different lenders who will offer you a different package, but if we're looking at an average of what's going on in the marketplace, that's where we are. And as I said, that's where we were in January of this year. We did have some volatility, and I think that's the watchword for today in the mortgage marketplace in terms of looking or rate shopping with different lenders. Volatility. So depending on, I guess, what's happening in the economy, what's happening in the political sphere, different events that create uncertainty in the market. Let's talk briefly about uncertainty in the market, okay? Now, I've talked on this show for a better part of 8 or 9 months about fraud in the marketplace. That can bring some volatility to it, right? Like, let's say that we've got a number of people who are doing fraud on their loans. That's going to bring some volatility, and therefore lenders are going to get upset. They're going to clamp down a little bit harder on credit worthiness of each and every borrower, whether it's upping the credit score that's needed to get a loan, whether it's requiring more assets or more money, more skin in the game, whether it's eliminating some programs from their portfolio. All of these things affect you as the borrower, and one of the things that affects the lender to be able to take a look at that is in the volatility, and that is, of course, in fraud. So there is a Jan Swanson, once again, from Mortgage News Daily, and very, very happy. I wish we could get her on. You know that, Tom? Why can't we get her on the phone here?
Yeah, you've talked to her boss a couple of times.
Yeah, no, and I just sent another email to Matt to see Matt Graham, who is the boss over there at Mortgage News Daily. Great website if you wanted to check out what's happening in the mortgage marketplace. I know it's easy to turn on the radio and drive around, but
yeah, well, I mean, people say people have a good face for radio. Maybe she has a good voice for journalism.
Yes, well, it's possible. All of that is possible. And again, I have not really researched it beyond trying to reach out to her with emails. Matt was nice enough to come on last year, and I want him on again. Okay, so Jan wrote an article today about application fraud highest in Florida, the state of Florida. Now, what she talks about in the article, and I'll read some of it, Florida remains the fraud capital. 8 of the top 15 metro areas on the fraud index are in the state, meaning that Florida itself is the state which is leading the charge on mortgage fraud. What they talked about here is income fraud is becoming increasingly sophisticated. Now, we've talked about that in terms of my own experience, as well as what's happened here in the San Fernando Valley, reaching out to San Bernardino and Riverside, as well as all parts of California. Last year, about October, we started to get word from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac that this was going on. And this is a confirmation that what happened here has happened here is also happening in other areas. Now, obviously, anybody that follows this knows that when there is a sophisticated and a concerted effort by a group of people to defraud a area borrower, a bank in, let's say, Southern California, that this is the model for how to defraud everybody nationwide. So this program gets picked up by a number of different places where we do loans, and we do loans all over the place, whether it's in Florida or Georgia, certainly Virginia, North Carolina, Illinois, Texas, up in the Northwest in Washington, Arizona, Nevada. Certainly all of these places have listeners that listen to the show. The complexity of the scam is simple, but it's also far-reaching. What do I mean by that is, in order to get a loan, you got to prove a couple things, right? you got to prove that you're who you say you are and that you can pay back the loan. I mean, it's pretty straightforward stuff. If you come up with documentation and you present it to your loan originator then submits it to the lender then underwrites according to the documentation given, then, of course, you're either approved or not approved for the loan. But if there's a problem with the documentation, who finds out about it? Well, so there are a number of products out there in the marketplace which, obviously are being used by us at Malibu Funding, and I say us because they're the great people that sponsor the show, and those are the company that I work for at my day job, and I want to say thank you to them. Also, hi to KCAA, KMET, and K-Tahoe, the great affiliates that bring the show to the Inland Empire, i.e. San Bernardino, Riverside counties, some parts of L.A., some parts of Orange, some parts of Inyo, and of course up in Tahoe. Hi, everybody up there. Thank you for listening. We are very pleased with what we're getting from there in terms of feedback. Anybody who wants to email me, info@malibufunding.net, you can do that any and all the time, especially if you hear things on the show that you want questions that you have, you want them answered. And if you also want to be able to call us, you can do that now or after the show. Write the number down, call us with questions. We certainly have a lot of expertise at the company and certainly on the show, which, again, I can help you answer if you call me directly. But if you are listening to the show consistently, you know that we talk about fraud a lot and about this particular aspect of it. We have had not a lot of fraud in terms of historical fraud, in terms of the marketplace, what gets sold to Fannie and Freddie. But this particular employer scam has come up on the radar of this show, my company that I work for, and obviously now we're getting acknowledgement across the country that the same problem that exists here, and usually things that start in Southern California get exported to the rest of the country. But this problem is endemic of what can happen when companies and large lending institutions go and go more, I guess, they use more automation in their look at systems. As we've talked about on the show, if a company's going to stay in business, and we need more companies to stay in business to give you a choice, to give you some competition in the marketplace, if that's to happen, there's only two things that are going to keep people in business when we have a shrinking marketplace, which is what we've had in the last 6 months to a year, meaning there are less loans today because the rates went up. And because they're back up to where they were in January, and probably we're going to see it, maybe a rate hike again, because what they said in the economy that was going to happen, guess what? It didn't happen. The actual growth rate in the GDP is about 3.2% for their first quarter of the year. That's astounding, considering we were looking at 1.8% growth rate last year, and Trump's yelling at the Fed to cut rates, and the reason that is, of course, is because everyone's going to be happy during the election time if money's cheap and everybody's able to borrow more effectively, and their credit card bills aren't as high. Okay, so that's why the president's doing it, and I understand that. But surprisingly, even though that hasn't happened and rates did rise or pause at least for a while, we've seen the economy really take off. So why is that? Now that's another discussion another time. We're talking currently about the problem in lending when companies like Malibu, like United Wholesale, like there's so many M&T, which went out of business, but let's say there are a number of companies, even at Wells Fargo, Citibank, Chase, and any of these larger companies, when you automate the compliance aspects of a deal, you cut out the person who will be able to check on the documentation, i.e. contracts written to mortgage brokers say specifically, hey, we're not going to do any checking anymore. We're going to rely upon the originator to do the checking. Well, in most originator worlds, you have owner-originator. Now, in order to scale their business to make any money in a shrinking marketplace, they have to do things faster. All of it is taking away from the ability of companies to look at the documentation given on employment. And that's a problem we're seeing in the marketplace now being touted by Jan, happening in Florida. So what I'm saying is it's an issue and that it's going to be taken a look at by the CFPB sooner than later. And those of you out there who are looking to get a loan, make sure that the documentation presented to the loan originator is verifiable so that obviously your loan goes smoothly and gets closed on time. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. Thanks for listening. I'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929 is our telephone number. If you pick up the phone and give us a call, we can help you decide, well, we can at least give you some great information about mortgage rates, about the programs that you probably haven't heard of, and also talk to you about real estate in terms of where the market's heading. One of the things that we do on the show is try to touch all bases that really affect you as a borrower. Real estate is the core of it all. Affording it is about you and your ability to repay a loan that some lender is going to give you. And all of this is about getting excited. It's springtime and we want to buy some real estate or you want to sell some real estate. With us on the show once again is Clinton Brown from Brown Realty Group at the Keller Williams office down in Los Angeles in Palms. How are you, Clinton?
Hey, doing well, Jeff. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Okay, so we're kind of way past the beginning of the spring buying season and the market. Tell us about the market, your market, and what's happening out there.
Well, here in Palms, the market right now, I mean, it's softening a bit. A lot of people have seen a shift in prices, especially in the single-family homes that are in the area. 90% of our buildings here in Palms are multifamily residential, so there's still a pretty good market for those. In regards to if it's going to be an income-producing property, rents are going up. There's still a lot of people moving in. We got Google, we got Apple moving in the vicinity. So as far as is it a time to invest in single-family properties? Or multifamily residential properties, yes, because there's an increase in population. There is the interest rates have went down. I think I read it like 10-year lows, and so really there's a lot of opportunity, and prices are softening. It's becoming more of a buyer's market, and you can piggyback that off because the single family homes are going down in price as well in some areas. Yeah,
I like the investment portion of it. I mean, so many people that listen to the show are always looking for a way to make residual income or build wealth, and you can't do that unless you're renting out properties. Tell us, what's the deal over there? Who are you representing right now, and what do you see on the market in your portfolio?
Yeah, right now, I mean, what I would tell investors, and I tell them is, if they already own a property, make sure that you're getting the best property management for your value. Okay. Meaning that if you're self-managing that or you're with another company that is managing it, really take stock of what they're doing to keep your tenants happy and to keep the profits maximized. A lot of times in spring, once a year, something like that is a good time to look at that. We have a segment that we do in property management at Brown Realty Group. So we are full service, and we have the ability to help people with that, to go over what they're doing now and what they could do better and what we could help them with. So I would say you got to look at, if you're not going to sell, if you're going to keep your property, then you really need to see how you can maximize that income from your, through your property management group.
Okay. The opportunities out there in the marketplace, what are prices in your area for these multifamily? And I assume multifamily is over 10 units. Is it 5 units? Is it 100 units? What are you looking at there?
Well, a lot of times, in California, it's very popular, the fourplexes, 1 to 4, 2 to 4 units, 1 to 4 units. We have, in just an example of what was sold, we had a 6-unit sold in the area, just right down the street from where I live, actually. Really great 7,500 square foot lot, zoned R3 with also in what we call the TOC plan. So there's opportunity for actually further development there. Right. That was around $2.4 million. So that was a 6-unit. However, it was a very special 6-unit because there were 2 to 3 bedrooms in each of the. So they're really large places. So that's on that spectrum. On that spectrum, you have maybe a 6-unit, 8-unit, and you can get around the $2 million mark. So
Right.
it depends. There are some opportunities out there. I would say, depending on the seller situation, if they for some sellers they want a quick sell and they just want to get out of it, and then that's give you a competitive bid on that. So I would say it really depends on what you're looking for, what cap rate your ideal is, and what investment do you want to make. A lot of these are not turnkey, simply because they're either they're some are built prior to 1978, or they
Right.
Or if they are not past 1978, or 1978, they might be market value, so that puts a premium on the price as far as the sell.
Now, you said that the market was softening. What does that mean? That you basically think that the prices are pretty much maxed out and we're going to see maybe a decline in prices?
Well, what I think is that it really is a temporary reprieve for the buyers. What I've seen is that there's more inventory, a lot more inventory as far as especially single family homes right now. I mean,
Right.
compared to what it was a year ago, say, now clients are able to kind of start. It's not as a fast moving market as it was. I mean, I've seen
I see.
Price cuts. As far as the I think maybe it's just kind of a lull, because long-term value, especially in the area of the Palms, it's a lot of growth.
Right.
It's a very popular neighborhood to live in, very walkable, safe neighborhood. And you have young professionals that can pay a premium on a apartment. So long term, I really think now is a really good opportunity for an investor. Not all investors, depends on their personal situation.
Sure.
However, with the market and what I know about it in mind, that softening is, it's not like a collapse. It's a softening of more inventory. What I mean by that, and
I
more
see.
opportunities.
I see. Okay, so if there's more properties on the market and a buyer comes into you, how do you qualify that borrower? Or buyer? How do you say to them, hey, you know what, this might be for you, this might not be for you? I know you have a full suite of services there at your office. Maybe describe when someone walks in the door and they're saying, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, and you don't have to just be a one person investor. There's what we like to do is through an LLC to have multiple investors. The percentage of money that they qualify to invest in that property. You would go over and make sure it's the right fit for you, and I could help that person with that. So it's a syndicate, sort of to speak, because
I see.
Multiple investors that will receive that they part ownership through that LLC, so they don't have to take the whole burden on themselves.
I see.
There's a lot of positives of that, and it just depends on the individual investor. And so I don't want to give blanket advice on that aspect.
Sure, of course.
However,
it's an option.
Yeah, absolutely. There's options.
Right.
There's options for people that want to get in the market, and I think especially younger people, that it's a great way to invest, because you're owning a part of that property and you're receiving the income from it. However, you don't have all the risk. You know
Right.
what I mean? So, and you're able to acquire it as opposed to waiting on your own to fully have that amount of money. Because we're talking about quite a bit of money. So that's what we do.
Right.
We want to invest and as much as our ability, and then have the passive income from that property, and then also you build that wealth that way, where you have a part of the property through the LLC as a member. So
I see.
I would say that that's a great way to, for a small, for the retail investor, for if they want to get involved in the property, in income producing property, but they're just not there yet with the full, maybe full risk. Maybe they don't want to go the full risk.
How does someone get in touch with you if they wanted to talk to you a little bit more about this?
Yeah, absolutely. My number is 310-487-6453. Again, that's 310-487-6453. And you can go to ClintonLAHome.com. That's ClintonLA, home.com.
Okay. Hey, thanks very much for coming on. I know there's a whole bunch of stuff I wanted to ask you, but we're kind of running out of time. I wanted to ask about rents, millennials, about pressure from the new companies coming in and what that's doing to the neighborhoods. But we ran out of time. We'll have to do it the next time you come on. I appreciate you doing this again.
Appreciate it, Jeff.
Thank you very much. This is Clinton Brown from Brown Realty Group over at Keller Williams, and he's talking a lot about some investments, and giving him a call probably be a great idea if you're in the market to do something like that. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry, 888-713-2929. Pick up the phone, give us a call. Oh, by the way, Daryl, did you see Larry King? Did you see he had another heart attack yesterday?
Man, no.
So every time I'm on air and I'm watching myself on the show, I think of him and his suspenders there, with his shoulders hunched up. Hi, it's Larry King.
The name of the book is Blue Devils.
Anyway, I'm sorry to diverge there for a second, but it's just a flash on my brain as to what was happening. Thanks for listening, tuning in to The Mortgage Voice, where each and every week we help you make some decisions about whether you're going to buy or sell real estate. The core element to any real estate deal is the money that you're going to either bring to the table or show that you can use to repay a loan that somebody's going to lend you. A guy that I have not talked to other than a couple of minutes off air, friend of ours of the show, Jamie, who has worked with us extensively, bringing us terrific guests. Greg McLeod from Elite Traders University is going to talk to us about Forex and how to make some extra money in your life, or maybe some substantial money, so that you can buy and sell more real estate. Greg, how are you?
Doing fantastic, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much. Okay, so sophistication aside, what is Forex, and what is it that you do that can help people make some more money?
Well, Forex really is an acronym for foreign exchange, and it's basically, put it in real simple terms, it's basically we're buying, we're selling overvalued currencies to buy undervalued currencies. So think of it like flipping houses, but
Right.
we're actually flipping money.
Right. Okay, that's excellent. So most people out in my audience realize that the European Union is around, and also that the currency is a particular one currency for a bunch of different countries, and that is a different value each and every day versus the U.S. dollar, right?
That's correct.
And so what you do is either you say that it's going to go up, which is playing a long position in that vernacular, or saying it's going to go down, which is playing a short position. How do you take advantage, and how do you teach people how to do that?
Well, that's a good question. It is a $5.1 trillion market. It's one of the largest markets in the world. It's larger than the stock market, market, and all the other world markets put together today. And it's no different than any type of other buying or selling, where we're actually looking for institutional order flow, or where people just really sold the currency, the value has fallen. Usually we look at macros like the economy, or maybe we look at an election or other types of events that really cause these currencies to move.
Right. You know, Greg, we're having some difficulty audio-wise. Let us try to call you back, and maybe you can just go back to the way it was before, because I just can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, fine. We're just having some audio difficulty from your end. So
yeah, we're having a little storm, a little rain. You know, I wish I had some California sunshine here.
That's funny, because I know you're down in Texas, and I don't know what city you're in. You're in Dallas, Houston, where?
I'm in Dallas, in the Dallas area.
I see. Okay, excellent. Well, let's see if we can hack our way through this. So, in helping people to learn how to take advantage of knowledge that you might be able to provide them, what do you do for them?
All what I do is I offer coaching and mentorship. Because I spent about 23 years in the industry. I spent 8 years as a currency analyst, so I really have a way of being able to bring the inside information that's behind that curtain to the average person, to break it down. I spent about 16 years in public education, of a lifetime teaching credential signed by the Terminator, Arnold.
Really? Excellent.
Schwarzenegger. So I can break it down and basically just show people that it's easy. That major companies and corporations, when they have an economic downturn, they have what we call trading desks, where they actually buy and sell currencies in order to generate extra income. Whether it's Mercedes-Benz making more money trading currencies in 2005 than they did selling cars, or Dell Computer, or any of the universities that have these endowment funds. The average person doesn't have that opportunity. When the market turns down, they're kind of wiped out. So I teach them how to create this income, and I developed a proprietary system called the Forex Cash Machine.
Okay.
And it's really easy to learn. If you can count to 5 and you know your shapes, you can
right.
count, and you know your alphabet, the letter C. It's pretty simple once people see it.
I see. And you teach just regular folk how to do this, and they're being successful at it.
Exactly. I taught my 14-year-old twin daughters, they're 16, how to do it if they want money. I said, go ahead, trade it. I have an 85-year-old, God rest his soul, my father-in-law.
Uh-huh.
I taught him how to do it. I've had 88-year-old traders, single moms. I used to teach my kids how to trade when I taught middle school in South Central L.A.,
Right.
And, to get them off the gang-infested environment,
Right.
looking at drug dealers. I said, look, if you listen to my English lesson, I'll teach you how to sling stocks and commodities and options, because this system I teach can work for any of the asset classes.
Okay, this is fascinating. Now, I'm in sales, so I'm easily sold. Now, we have a lot of skeptical people out in the marketplace. What do you say to people who say, hey, this can't be, that just doesn't make any sense?
Oh, well, I said that they have a right to be skeptical. There's a lot of misinformation out there.
Right.
A lot of it put out by the industry itself. In fact, there's a lot of, there's a vested interest to keep the common people ignorant. Mm-hmm. So they can help pay for the dreams and pay for the college access to colleges and things like the scandals we've seen, because they don't have the information. So they have every right to be skeptical. But I have so many test cases, so many case studies of gentlemen retiring, from their job and creating, $100,000, $200,000. I had a substitute teacher create $100,000 from Missouri. I've had an HVAC technician from Kansas create $40,000 in 3 months using my system. I've had another guy create like $8.9 million using my system.
Okay, let me ask you a practical question, okay? Everybody's aware of what's going on in Venezuela, right? You have a country that is about ready to collapse or go into civil war. Obviously, their particular currency has taken a major hit. How would you advise, or not advise, but how would you take advantage of a situation like that in terms of trading currency, or would you just stay away from it?
Well, usually when we have geopolitical unrest, like revolutions, wars, bombs. In fact, we had a test launch or weapons launch by the North Korean guy. He launched rockets. I said, guys, they launched rockets. We're going to get short or get long the yen.
Right.
The yen pairs they go up when there's fear, whether it's in Venezuela, because they can get contagious and spread throughout and disrupt the whole oil industry.
Right.
So we look there's certain currencies we trade that are what we call safe havens during times of unrest and fear. So we can benefit actually from bad news, which is kind of weird.
No, but that's the nature of anything, right? I mean, you can say, okay, I'm betting that this is going to do poorly, and I'm willing to spend money to see if I'm right. And therein lies, that's basically what gambling is, But in the world that you're in, it's totally legal, and it's foreign exchange.
Exactly. And the thing about it, Jeff, is we want to keep that risk very small. That We're going to pay to show, we want to see the next whole card, but we're going to ante it just a little bit just to see the next card, right?
Right. No, I agree. Hey, if someone wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Oh, what they can do is they can email me at greg@elitetradersu.com.
Okay. Do you have a phone number or something?
Yeah, I most certainly do. And that number is 609-2328. And I also have a special treat for your listeners, a free training at cashmachine.com.
Wow. That's excellent. No, I think for people who are looking for a way to make money, who have been stuck in a rut forever, this is a particular way that sounds like your training and your mentorship can help them be successful.
Exactly.
Thank you.
I look forward to doing that.
Hey, man, thanks very much for coming on the show. I want to have you back because I'm dying to find a local person who has helped by using your system, having them come on the show, and then you can come back on and tell us a little bit more about it. Thanks very much, Greg, for coming on the show.
That's a great idea. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And that's Greg McLeod from Elite Traders University, and I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929. That's our telephone number. Pick up the phone, give us a call. You know, you can email us any questions or any comments about the show, info@malibufunding.net. Malibu Funding is the company that sponsors the show. That's where I work on my day job, so I really appreciate those folks and them investing in the show, time, money, whatever that can do to help bring information to you, both about the mortgage market, which constantly changes. Rates went back up again. Where we were in January after it went down, and now it's back up. And also in the real estate world, where we try to look at the market both from a larger sense and also from the smaller sense, meaning that, okay, what does this individual buyer look at? What does that individual seller want? Things that might benefit you directly without necessarily hitting your particular area. In regards to that, Bambi Olesic, who's been on the show before, is a real estate agent, and I'm glad to have her back on the show. Bambi, how are you?
Great, Jeff. Glad to be back.
Thank you very much. And again, your expertise in how you determine for buyers and sellers what to do with their properties is really what I'm looking to have some questions answered. Like, I've got a property, I want it sold, and I come to you. How can you help me get the most money for my property?
Well, part of what I have to do is the marketing. Marketing a property is really important. I can get it out there. I can get it in front of people. Holding open houses doesn't sell houses, just benefits me. But getting it out there in front of the other agents who are going to sell it, not getting it into a discount brokerage where I feel people are looking to. They're looking more for the discounts, the purple bricks, the Redfins.
Yep.
Those, if you list with them, you're going to get probably about 20% less than what you could normally get it for if you get someone who's actually going to be there and work hard for you.
Okay. That's very interesting because it's, you know, and I find, and sometimes I look in my own area, realtors sell their own properties, and a lot of times they go to the discount route, and I've always wondered, why would they do that when they know better? You know, you cannot market your property with somebody who's taking less money. They haven't got the time or money. There was a Mike Ferry guy out here for years, and he's still out here doing it.
He's still around, yeah.
Right, exactly.
For a long time.
So, marketing-wise, let's talk about that for instance. Give us the top 4 things that you can do for a particular seller.
Well, I have a team of people that will put together a sheet that will tell you approximately what your payments will be. My lender, Malibu Funding, they help me, tell the people what they can afford, what they can plan on paying.
Okay.
Then I've got the escrow officers, the inspectors, all of them. But the most important thing is the guys I have coming out to do the videos, to do the pictures, to just project your property and make it the best it can be and make it look better than the guy next door.
Now, we transitioned from newspaper advertising a long time ago. Now there are the Homes and Land magazines that are out there and other such publications. But mostly, I would say 95% of the properties are marketed online, whether it's Zillow or whether it's Realtor.com, whether it's the Association of Realtors where you're currently. What do you think online is the best and most successful way to market the properties?
That depends. People like Instagram. They like Facebook.
Right.
And I find putting things on there is fine and helpful. It gets people in. There are people who rely solely on social media to market properties. I like the old-fashioned way, the old touch and feel, and come out and see it. And not everything is what you're going to see online. You can take a house, and I've done this. I had a listing in Studio City. It was a fixer. People came in, and it looked nothing like the video.
Right.
It looked, the house didn't look as good as the video.
Right.
And that's what people do. That's our job, is to bring the people in to see your home.
Right. Now, that's very, very interesting. And I know that, as they often say in television, TV adds another 30 pounds to the face. But being as that's not necessarily true, I do know that pictures often don't tell the story. That's why you've got to get out to the property. And so most of the advertising is to get the buyers out to the property, right?
That's true. And if you've got a good agent, and I've got friends that they can write really well, and they can take that small little 800 square foot house and turn it into a 5,000 square foot house.
Right.
And they get you out there.
Right. No, it's very true. I know that I'm not the greatest writer, so if I ever have a listing, which I rarely do, but when I do, I usually get somebody else to write up the description, because you know what? I'm pretty much bare bones, and this is it, here it is. But that's not what really is going to sell or entice people to come to the property. It's going to be in the description, in the flattering picture, to make sure that they get to the property, and that's really the job of the realtor, is to get them out to the property, right?
That's right. And to have someone available to take the calls of those people all the time. I've sold more property on vacation or out of the area than I can say. But I personally have a hard time getting in touch with other agents just to show their property. It's
turned into that kind of world whereby, unless it's a text or through some social media channel, it's very difficult, even in our profession, to reach people. Either they're too busy or they just don't want to be bothered.
Oh, it's so true. And honestly, I lost a listing because another agent came in and said they had a buyer and they worked a deal out with the seller.
I see.
You get people who undermine that kind of stuff.
Right.
And you want somebody ethical.
Yep.
You want someone who's got your back, who's going to watch out for you and get you the most amount of money.
Where do you see the market heading now that we're talking a little bit more about the properties? Prices in general have been up. They seem to be softening a bit. What's your opinion?
I agree. I've been seeing that prices are softening a little bit. They were holding steady, maybe in some areas going up a little bit, but for the most part, I'm seeing them kind of steady to soft.
Now, that's a good thing, right? If we're finding that maybe properties are sitting a little bit longer, we're getting closer to an even buyer-seller market, and that's always best when both parties walk away a little bit unhappy.
That's true. That's true. I like it when everybody feels like they got a deal.
Yeah, everybody gave a little bit. Everybody's not 100% satisfied, but the deal got done. And usually that takes, unfortunately, a lot more work from the realtor. And I think that's where your experience in the marketplace probably helps.
And really, that's why anybody wants an experienced real estate agent, not just a discount brokerage.
Right.
I mean, think of how much work. If you're going to work and you have a choice of two jobs you're going to do. One of them you're going to make $40 an hour, and the other one you're going to make $10 an hour.
Right.
Which one are you going to put the most effort into?
Oh, absolutely.
So if you've got a discount brokerage that's only charging you 0.5% or 1.5%, and they're offering the selling agent, 0.5% or 0.75%.
Right.
How hard do you think that agent or any agent is going to work to sell your property? They're going after the 2.5% and the 3% and the 4%.
Right, exactly.
They're out to make a living like everybody else.
No, it's exactly right. And it's happened to me in the past when I have a difficult property. I will take less, but I will offer the selling agent or the one that brings the buyer more, meaning that instead of getting 3, you offer them 3.5% on a 5% listing. Look, I want to sell this. It's a difficult property. And believe me, the person who did sell it said that was the reason that they brought their buyer, just because they were going to make more money. So
exactly.
Right.
And on average, the seller will make 10 to 20% more on their property because of that.
Yeah, exactly right, because the incentive is there for people to try to get their buyers to the property, and that's the most important thing. All right, we have about a minute left. Let me know a little bit about, okay, we talked about market. Where do you think the market's heading? Do you think it'll be this way throughout the summer?
I honestly think we're going to see a little bit of softening in the summertime until the amount of listings go up and people feel comfortable buying. And I think that's what we're seeing right now is the buyers out there are not feeling comfortable buying. They're waiting for prices to go down. They're waiting for that deal. And the sellers are waiting to see what's going to happen.
Right.
Because of the government in California with the taxes and everything else. And I have a feeling that we won't see much of a change until after, I believe it's the June voting election, where they decide on the bond measures for the LA Unified School District.
Right, right.
So, because right now it turns out where our property taxes used to be at 1.25%, they've gone up to about 3% now. Yeah,
I know. I don't know why and how they got around that. Listen, we're out of time, Bambi. I appreciate you coming on the show and letting us know a little bit about what's going on. Shout out your phone number quickly for those who are listening who need a great real estate agent.
My phone number is 818-406-7144, or you can reach me at bambisbestbuys@gmail.com. And on social media, Bambi Lynn or 4Bambi2 on all media sites.
Thank you very much once again for coming on the show.
Jeff, I look forward to being on it again.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, Bambi Olesic, real estate agent to the stars. I'll throw that in there. Anyway, I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929. Telephone number. Pick up the phone. Give us a call. We talk to you all the time about mortgages, about real estate, about what's happening in the marketplace, both nationally, compliance-wise, and all other aspects that can affect your decisions about whether you want to buy or sell this year. I know it's a good market. What I thought we were going to have is a flat kind of springtime in terms of price appreciation has really borne true in many areas of the country. One of the things that we did notice, CoreLogic just sent out their first quarter tally as to what's happening in the marketplace. Most of the country is about 2 to 3% in terms of their growth of home prices. Certainly pockets in different areas, whether it's the San Bernardino, Riverside metro areas, or whether it's in Los Angeles, Orange County. You may see pockets whereby the price of a home is actually a lot higher than it was last year, but for the most part, we're looking at 2 to 3%. There are a couple of areas that are a little different than that. Arizona certainly is one of them, and Las Vegas, Nevada. And Las Vegas is still booming, spouting a 10% annual increase still. And this is like 4 or 5 years after it has been doing it. I mean, they were going gangbusters at 16%. But they, again, also during the recession and those years afterward, 2010 through 2011, 2012, you saw, 75% drop in values out there. I was going to buy a condo that today is worth $100,000 for $22,000. Can you imagine? Guess who talked me out of it, Daryl?
Your wife.
Yes, she did. She said, "Oh, don't do it. It's never going to come back." The Chicken Littles of the world, which I am not. Anybody who's in sales, anybody who's in real estate, anybody who's in that kind of business always is optimistic. Why? Because that's just kind of who we are.
That's how you live another day.
That's, what? I got to get up in the morning. I got to do something, so it's going to get better. And for you, those of you out there still looking for properties, still looking for things that you can do in terms of either trying to invest in real estate, look for something where you can buy, fix up, and sell, the flipper market, buy, fix up, and rent. That's a buy and hold scheme. Plus, the rents in some of these areas are pretty darn good. I mean, one of the things that millennials, and there's a whole series, there's an online series, there's a couple of other websites that I go to, as well as groups that I belong to, which talked about the millennial buyer. Now, what is the psychology of the millennial buyer? And that is, of course, born up until 1985. I think it's, 70 to 85, something like that. That's a millennial buyer?
Pretty much.
Yeah, okay. So these folks, which is the biggest group in the country in terms of collective age group, why most of them have yet to jump in and have yet to be able to buy a house, and then the Gen Yers and these people. The reason is mostly it's student debt. And student debt, which is now topping $1.3 or $1.5 trillion, and we talk about it on the show all the time. Student debt is crippling for somebody who wants to buy a house. So why is that? Because debt is debt, and I don't care where it comes from. If you've got a $100,000 to $200,000 college debt, you're not going to take on a $100,000 to $200,000 mortgage. It's just you're not going to do it. So that's an issue, and that's a problem for that particular group. And in looking at it from, where I sit as somebody who is very well removed from that age group, I can understand it. I mean, we didn't have that problem when we got out of school, right?
No, not in the least.
No.
I mean, I know people now that when they got out of high school or college went and toured Europe and did some things.
Yeah.
I went right from high school to college to work.
Right.
And there were no breaks in between for me.
No, and I think that's the way I was raised, too. I think that there's a lot to be said for going to college, but as Warren Buffett said recently this week, college isn't for everybody. I mean, if you're going to go into, trading stocks, and we're going to have a guy on the show who's going to talk about that, and not stock trading per se, but in different kinds of careers. Hey, real estate, you don't really need a college degree, do you?
No, and for trading stocks, you just need to pass the Series 7, right?
That's right. The Series 7 or the 21 or the 28, there's a number of different things that you have to do. And certainly there are plenty of fields out there where you don't need a college degree, and it's probably better that you get into the workforce early because experience is the best thing in those particular fields.
And trades as well.
Yeah, all the trades, right. If you're carpentry, plumbing, painting,
general contracting,
all that kind of stuff, it's about your experience, your knowledge with your hands, your ability to be able to make a dollar out of, a job that you see, being able to bid a job, all that stuff. There's no need for a college education, unless, of course, you want, to go into large contracting, large construction businesses, which, of course, there are many. And I don't know if you saw that there's touted federally that there's going to be this $1.5 trillion worth of infrastructure spending that both the president and the Democrats, whether it be Schumer or Pelosi, got together last week and said, yeah, this is what we're going to do. Now, I don't know how we're going to pay for $1.5 trillion worth of spending, and who's going to come up with that, especially since taxes are the main issue. And the only, not main issue, but it is an issue for the upcoming election. But the only way that you're going to pay for any of this, unless you're just going to continue to print money and borrow it from the future, which doesn't bode well for anybody, in my opinion. Okay, so in the article that I was quoting on about how Nevada and Arizona are seeing pretty good market increases in their real estate market, the rest of the country is, about 2-3% a year, which I think is a sustainable thing. I think that's what we're looking for in any kind of real estate market, is something which is appreciably better than it was the year before, but sustainable, and something that is not going to outpace income in that given market. Now, we have talked about the employment, and we probably have 1.5 million jobs in the U.S. currently going unfulfilled on a monthly basis. Now, that's not great, unless, of course, the particular skill that you have is one of those which is in demand, which means that you can demand a higher salary. There's a great show. For those of you who get it, it's on HBO, and I know there's a lot of people in the listening audience who don't get it, but it's about the future of work. It smells like a TED Talk. It probably is on a TED Talk, but this particular show talked about automation, roboting, and the future of how in 20 years we're going to be working. Now, I'm going to be, probably long out of my mind if I'm still around, but for those of you who are millennials and younger, the future of work and how work will be done is the subject of this particular HBO show. I found it fascinating. I couldn't stop watching it. The reason is you have many people who are currently using their brain power in the programming area, in software, in a lot of service area jobs. So the major growth sector in jobs like that is in the healthcare sector and in programming, as well as, of course, in the service sector. Well, it looked at what was happening in those, let's say, those three areas. Service area, gone. You're not going to find people who are going to be doing jobs that they are currently doing in 15 to 20 years. You're not going to find people who will be helping you. What you'll find in the Amazon mold is a store by which you can go in and try stuff on. You can look at a product. You can, invest in your touchy-feely process, which most buyers still enjoy. But the buying, the servicing, and the fulfillment of whatever you're looking for is still going to be done online. And that means simply that those retail jobs are gone. People who are sitting there measuring you, talking to you, salespeople, no, you're just going to have an outlet whereby you're going to go in and you're going to size up the product. You're going to look and touch and feel, but the person helping you is gone. If you want fast food, it's going to be done by robots. If you want somebody at the bank to help you when you walk in the bank, that's all automated. There's going to be no tellers. You're going to be all doing it on the screen. If you go into a Chase Bank now in the Valley, you're going to find that a lot of these services that used to be done by tellers are no longer done by tellers. Anyway, I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. Thanks for listening to the show each and every week, and we'll see you next time.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. For more on today's topic, visit www.malibufunding.net.